locations like Reng, Malakal, and Baliet, iRadio offers comprehensive coverage that reaches both urban centers and remote areas. Your partnership with iRadio ensures visibility across a wide geographic area.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to amplify your message with iRadio. Partner or advertise with us today and make your voice heard across South Sudan.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. Stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Tonight we turn our focus to education with a spotlight on that climate resilience in schools, from tree planting and eco-friendly school designs to urban planning and digital learning. Well, we will explore how the education sector can adopt and respond to the growing impact of that climate change. Before we dive deep, we'll be joined live in the studio by Dr. Andrew Atiba, head of the Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Juba. Good to have you, Doctor, in this particular discussion. Marhaba.
You want me to start?
Yes, welcome to the studio of iRadio. And to start with, how would you define that climate resilience in the context of that education and school? Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to introduce climate resilience in schools. This refers to capacity of educational institution to anticipate, prepare, withstand, and recover from the impact of climate change. It encompasses both physical infrastructure and the broader educational system, aiming to minimize disruptions to learning and ensure the well-being of students and staff. Climate resilience schools integrate adaptation and mitigation strategies, promoting environmental awareness and foster sustainable practices. Let us come to definition of resilience. Resilience is most often defined as the ability of children, education, communities, and systems to prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from shocks and stress, for example, disasters, political crises, epidemics, pervasive violence, armed conflict, in ways that support economic and social development, and to do most deepen vulnerability. Evidence on educational resilience. To succinctly summarize the evidence emerging from the literature, reviewing that is most relevant to global partnership for education, the note focus on conceptualizing system resilience, promoting resilience of children and youth, resilience during COVID-19, resilience to climate change, and critique of resilience. Then we come to education awareness. Education awareness can play an important role in combating the crisis of climate change. With the inclusion of climate science agenda into schools' curriculum, one will be able to give students knowledge about the causes, impacts, and the possible solution to various environmental problems. Climate literacy not only provides students with scientific knowledge, but also imparts a sense of responsibility towards the action that has not been taken. The role of schools in climate adoption. Besides teaching about climate science, schools are not normally expected to model sustainable practices, looking into the measures that could reduce their carbon footprint through adoption of environmental friendly policies and the use of green technology. For example, green schools initiatives promote energy efficiency infrastructure and sustainability practices that go side by side for practical learning with the students. Finally, students are now increasingly being used as centers of refuge and the resource during those episodes of environmental calamity due to climate changes affecting the whole community. Examples of climate integrated curricula. For example, Finland's national curriculum encompasses sustainability education in a wide range of subjects. It teaches students not just the science of climate change, but how to live sustainably.
And now,
I have not finished. Then you come to the issue of, in short, education plays an important role in addressing climate crisis on two major counts. First, it provides an important channel of climate knowledge and artists of climate sustainability among students who are thus equipped with the relevant wherewithal to handle environmental challenges. Second, education sector often becomes a victim of disruptions, often caused by climate change, including school closure, infrastructure damage, and lack of resources. For example, last year we had a heat wave in South Sudan, where that is where the schools were closed. And this is due to impact of this climate change, which is very serious. Then the impact of climate change on the global education. You know, floods, droughts, and storms commonly result in long-term school closures that destroy important infrastructure and massively disrupt learning indirectly. Pillars of climate resilience: coping capacity, threshold capacity, recovering capacity, transformative capacity. Then we come to tree planting, the role of tree planting. Tree planting means planting the right trees in the right places and ensuring communities feel equipped and empowered to take care of forestry for generations. This is part of our goal to grow the Great Green Wall. This will be one of the biggest ecological restoration projects in history of South Sudan. If we did this, it will be very great. Then, what about the types of trees we plant? Types of trees we plant, we need to plant. The trees provide shade, fruits, reduce wind speed, and erosion control. This is very, very important. And among the trees that we need to plant is, for example, mangoes, guava, moringa, shea butter, cashew nuts, lemon, neem, tamurhindi, etc. These are all important to help us in our environment.
How can students and teachers be engaged in tree planting as part of learning and environmental responsibilities?
Well, this is commonly done in all the schools all over the world. You know, people should plant trees. The objective is to bring awareness to them so that they know the importance of the trees. You know, the trees are not just planted to protect or to bring shade, but also to provide food for the schools, to provide fruits, which is a problem. If we tell students that this is the learning outcome, let us go out, plant trees for the issue, it will be very nice. For example, now you look at University of Juba. University of Juba is the best trees, many trees, green area in the whole of Juba. It's the best. So these trees helps very much. If there is heavy wind blowing, the trees will reduce the speed of the wind. It will not cut. And if there is heavy rain, the rain will not erode the places. And then it provides shades and other things, and it makes life comfortable. It reduces heat also for the students to remain in class comfortable without any problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in your view, how can school infrastructure be improved to better cope with that extreme weather events like flooding and the heat wave that led to the closure of schools?
Well, the school design provides a structural environment for teaching and learning, and to keep students with the knowledge, skills, and social development for life after graduation. Example include street tree planting. They plant trees around the streets. Installing green roofs that can help mitigate heat in the classrooms. Also, it can reduce erosion in the school. Can also reduce speed of the wind in the school. It can reduce heat also in the school. So the trees play major role in our lives. We cannot do without. We need it. And fruits, also other things, it helps so much in this. So that is why we say trees are very important for life.
And are there examples of climate resilience school design being implemented in South Sudan, or the tree planting you are talking about?
Yes, I think in some schools they're doing it. But then, as I said, they need awareness. They need awareness so that they know that trees are a very important source of fruits, source of food for them. But if you don't tell them, they will not know. But if somebody comes and tells them that please do this and they will help, I think it will be very good. Schools will be very beautiful and people will like it.
Let's move a little bit further. How does urban planning or lack of it affect the resilience and the safety of that schools, especially in flood-prone areas like Upper Nile or densely populated areas?
Well, I want to tell that evidence of planning has been unearthed in the ruins of cities in China, India, Egypt, Asia Minor, the Mediterranean world, South and Central America. These people have been talking about urban planning, have been planning a long time ago. Only in our area where people don't take it very seriously. But urban planning includes techniques such as predicting population growth, zoning, geographic mapping, analysis, park space, surveying the water supply, identifying transportation, recognizing some of this. So this is very, very important. But in 20th century, the term sustainable development came to represent an ideal outcome in the sum of planning goals and advanced by the United Nations, sponsored by World Commission on Environment and Sustainable Development in our Common Future 1987. Sustainable development refers to development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So with this, the element of economic growth, metropolitan alternatives was taken seriously and people began to consider it as an important part of urban planning. The urban planning is one of the number of designations for forms of spatial planning that encompasses ways in which land use, spatial metropolitan morphologies, resources distribution and social interactions may be planned and managed.
Yes. Now, Dr. Andrew,
yes.
Taking a look at what had happened, more especially the displacement of people, for example, in Juba here, you'll find a classroom accommodating more than 100 pupils or learners. And how can that be really improved?
I think what is important is to give more awareness to this community and to the community leader or the teachers. Because the aims of urban planning is to improve quality of life for the residents by ensuring efficient land use, infrastructure, public service, and environmental protection. Types of urban planning, for example, quality of public reduced attractive, well-used areas, easy movement, continuous facility, and environmental protection. These are very, very important. If people can be advised to follow this, something will be very good.
Do you think it's really necessary to advise teachers? These are learned people. Why do you think it's necessary?
Well, the learning does not take care of some of these resources. For example, if somebody is a mathematician, he knows only mathematics, he will not talk about planning, he will not talk about water, he will not talk about environment. If there is somebody of environment, then he will help people in these areas to give orientation to this staff, to the students, so that they know better and they can move one step forward. But if they are not told, they will not know. Because, for example, types of planning, strategic planning, tactical planning, operational planning, financial planning, project planning, and so on. This planning need to be given awareness to the teachers, to the students, or whoever at the school administration, so that they can do good work for benefit of the current and future generation.
And most of these schools also have association, that's PTA. And what role should local government or the school authorities, including the PTA, play in planning safe a school environment?
Well, for example, if the government wants a safe and clean environment, they may be, for example, come to Department of Environment in the University of Juba and then ask them to establish an environmental club in that school, which will give them chance to establish many other things in that area. But without that, then it will be very difficult. But even initially, if you talk to them that you want to plant these trees to produce fruits, I think you will get many people moving there to plant these trees. It will be very interesting. People will like it very much. Yeah.
How will that one be really achieved when there's already heat wave and rains are not like usually? This is June, and ideally people are supposed to be cultivating by this time around, but there's no rain.
Yeah, all this the people need to be awareness. For example, if you ask students from University of Juba, Department of Environment, to go and visit some of the schools, they will plant maybe 2, 3, 4 trees. They say these trees will bring you fruits, will bring you shade, will bring you this. I think as soon as these trees begin to grow and students begin to see fruits coming out of it, they will like it. No. But so everything needs to be done because people believe by seeing. If they don't see, they will not believe. But if they see it, they see the fruits coming from mango, the seeds coming from purple, they see the fruits coming from guava, they will like it, and they will adapt it, and they will plant it. Yeah.
Now, from that urban planning, let's cross over to that digital learning. How does digital learning support climate resilience in education, especially during school closures caused by that disaster? And in South Sudan here, there is issue of also internet where it's very expensive. Some of the schools and teachers or learners cannot really afford.
Well, digital learning refers to the use of technology to support and enhance the learning process. It encompasses various approaches, including online courses, virtual classrooms, integration of digital tools in traditional education settings. Essentially, it involves leveraging technology to make learners more accessible, flexible, engaging for students of all ages and backgrounds. This means if they are trained to do these things, they will do it. But the problem with with digital learning, of course, it needs an educated person. If somebody is not educated, he will not understand. But if somebody is educated, he will easily understand and follow it and implement. For example, people are talking about digital agriculture. Some time back, we tried to go and introduce things to villages near Luri here, to the farmers. They seem not to understand. They say, it needs for somebody to have a smartphone and other things. But there, they don't have smartphone. Even in Juba, some of the people don't have smartphone. But if they have smartphone, they can easily do it, and they can advance in this digital learning. Digital learning is more technological. It's very important, but it's more technological, and it needs more training to the workers and the farmers so that they can implement.
In real term, in practical term, since climate change is also affecting the learning process and digital, having this, it needs technology, it needs internet, it needs, some other gadgets so that someone can really cope up with and the knowledge as well. Now, what's the best approach for a country like South Sudan to undertake, especially the Ministry of General Education?
It is a matter of training people. If you train two to three people, 4 people, go to this certain village, train 4, go to this, train 5, go to this, it will make very big changes. Because everything needs training. If you don't train, people will not know. But if you train the people and give them access to internet and use smartphones and other things, you will see very big change in this country. In a few years, this country will be advancing and going ahead very much.
Do you also subscribe to some other people who would say, okay, it's better for some of this digital curriculum need to be really introduced in schools and in the calendar?
Yes, many of our people have got that idea. We have got some people in agriculture who are doing this, and they want to implement and make people to accept this so that they can, people don't remain in one place, and people should advance. Really, we need to change people in South Sudan to be advanced, to move with us so that they cope with others and make better food production, and even we can sell. According to our position in South Sudan, as a green land, we can produce enough food and even sell to our neighboring countries and export to other parts of the world.
Well, now, what are the challenges and opportunities of that integrating digital learning tools in schools across South Sudan?
Challenges we have. One important challenge is the internet. Some schools don't have internet, and this is a very big problem, and lack of money, funds, budget for it, and lack of trained manpower is not there. We've got, for example, very few people who are trained in these skills, but you can send them across the country. They may be based working around Juba here and some other places, maybe in Torit, maybe in Ye, maybe in Meridi and other places, but they will not move to far places up to Yambio, up to Capoeira, up to other places. It's very difficult. They found, due to insecurity, to make it difficult for them. But they could have gone. to help these people, because these are our people. We need to change them.
Now, what would be some of the possible approach that you would recommend the ministry and the stakeholders to use in order to overcome the challenges you mentioned? Like,
well, the ministry can do that through other donors. If they ask some donors to support them in this area so that people can be trained in this area in Juba, and then others can go to Wow, others can go to Torita, others can go to place, it will be very easy. But the ministry has not taken this step. But if they take this step, it's possible for them to do it. And then things will begin to happen in South Sudan.
Well, what policies would you really recommend the Ministry of that's Education to promote climate resilient practices in the school as well?
Well, the Minister of Education should have introduced climate change curriculum in the courses for the children, so that the children will learn, and then they implement, and they will change their people. They will tell these ideas to their leaders, to their fathers, to their mothers, and then they will implement and go one step forward. Because education is change. Education will change somebody from nothing to somebody very big. So education is very important. As somebody, an Arab said 50,000 years ago, he said, Al-ilm nur, education is light. This means if you are educated, you can do many things. And if you go anywhere, nobody will deny you. People will accept you. So education is light, will change you, will move in the right direction, and you become a very important person in that particular area.
All right. Dear listener, if in case you have just joined us, you're listening to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James, and our focus is on that's education, with the spotlight on that's climate resilience in a school, from that's tree planning and eco-friendly schools designs to urban planning and digital learning as well. To unpack all this, I'm blessed to be joined by Dr. Andrew Atiba, head of that Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Juba. جزء منكم بعرف قال كان في زياد في درجة حرارة ومدارس كتار كان قفلوا بجاي، وجزء منكم أبوات كمان كان عارفة سوكوا التبيلغا في فصل واحد أكثر من 100 طلبة القاعدين، وده كمان في نهاية بتاع الصحة، في نهاية بتاع تغيير جو، وبكون كاب وبعصر مومن خالص. فأنا قاعد بعينه ياتو حلول بقدر استعملوا ولا طرق بقدر استعملها عشان كيف يحلوا مشاكل دي. وكمان طريقة ذاته مدارس تانينا بينهم يعني تبلغوا في زياد في درجة حرارة، يعني يال ما قاعد بيلقى مهمة بتعليم، وفي جزء منهم زيتم ذكر في أخبار كمان في تهنين كمر في فصول، وكمان أستاذين برضو كمر بالضبط كلام لشنو. فمعي دكتور أتيبا دي head of department من جامعة جوبا، وقاعد بوري لنا حلول لكل. فلو عندك سؤال ولا تعليق بعد فصلت والتا بدو مهنينا في 09 وايد ولا 2-9-8-6-9-8-6. وفي دول تاني لو بكون في زياد في درجة حرار تبيلغا أطفال ورسولو بيت زيري مون يندو سيقاد بكون في راديو ولا في انترنت مون بيقدر يلغا درسة، لكن جزء من حاجات زيري ما بيقدر أسيلي تبيلغا شبكة كمان غالي، وليغوزاتو انترنت ساكد ولا باندل زيل غالي، وفي محلات ننزل طريقة بتا سمارت فون ساكت وقوي خالص. وده بدابتا بمانا كمان يعملوا شنو نشيلوا فاصل يلا لو نرجع بعدين تبينو فرصة عشان كيف تصل مهنينا، وكمان أصل سؤال بتاكي لدكتور أندرو في داخل الاستوديو هنا.
Thank you for listening to iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Well, dear listener, welcome back from that break, and it's time now for you to pick that cell phone and dial. That's our studio line 0911-022-986. And those who are also following us live via that's our Facebook page, I will be in position also to go through your messages. And this is coming in from that green niche Conversational Institute, and another text message from that Lino as well. But first, caller. iRadio.
Good evening.
Good evening.
John Sudan.
Welcome on board.
Thank you. What I wanted just to say is a comment, not a question. From my experience in primary school, where I studied, the capacity for each class was made to be 50. And that one, it has ventilation for the air to come in, and then also it's space for the student. But now when you look at the classes, it accommodates 200, over 250, 200, 100 plus, which is very huge. So what I need also to add on this is that each class must accommodate not more than 50. So that when there is an issue of diseases or issue of weather condition, then the student will be able to survive. But if it is overcrowded, then it will, when there is infection outbreak, it will rapidly increase. That is my small comment.
Thank you so much, Majong Sudan, for sharing your thought with us. Majong Buhul, itabielga lo yal fi fusul kaman kutar beladat bimana lo fita wele ger fi jow kida bahasir bomon khalis fa lo biyagder fesil waidi shilu ما يكون أكثر من 50 طلبة. iRadio نعم ارجع تاني 09 وايد ولا 22 986 نعم تبيلقى في مدارس تانين تقريبا 100 وحاجة وأكثر من 100 ديل كله في فيصل وايد. iRadio.
الو iRadio، مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
كويسين؟
ما بطل.
اوكي، معكم لوال من الشركة ده.
مرحبا لوال.
كويس، شكرا لك ولا برنامج سمع. أنا بشكر أخوي وجوك سودان كلام قدام ده كلامه جميل، كلام كويس. يلا اسم سؤال بتاعنا ما أعرف مرات يكون اسم لما يكون في إجازة بالنسبة للعيال لو وضع يوجد سخن زبر الفاتة يلا مدارس بعجزهم يلا في جزء من اسم private school for example اسم المدارس الأجانب ده ما بعجزهم ليش نو؟ هم كلهم مواصلين. هلو شغالين بشغل بتاعهم برام ولا نفس الدولة واحدة؟
شكرا جزيلا. Alwal is asking, in situation where there's heat wave where some of the schools were closed, but you'll find that other private schools are still operating, and he's wondering whether some of these private schools are using really the natural curriculum and instruction from the Ministry of General Education, or not. Otherwise, if the Ministry of General Education decided to announce that the weather condition is not really favorable for learners, and why would they again go on to risk the lives of the learners by again calling them to come and continue with their studies? Thank you so much. iRadio. مساء النور. منو؟
معكم سعيد لينو.
مرحبا سعيد.
ده برنامج جميل شديد، وأنا بس كنت داير أسأل ويا ترى إذا كان هذا التعليم ذاته كانوا بخصوص ذاته أنا أشوف في إجازات ده بكون بطريقة مستمرة في كل سنة. لشنو ما حيكير الزمن ده؟ طالما إنه هناك زمن بتاع التعليم زمن محدود على حسب الكاريكولم بتاع التعليم، المنهج اللي قاعدين بدرسوا فوق. يلا هناك بكون في جاب بتاع الزمن بتاع الحرارة. لشنو وزارة التعليم الأعلى ما بقول مناس الانفيرمنت عشان ما يوضوا الجدوى الزمنية للتعليم بتاع وقت البكون فوق حرارة ده قال يكون يال في إجازة ناس ينزلوا يمكن من حرارته وماشي للكتاب عشان ما يكون في انتراكشن في الزمن بتاع التعليم بالنسبة للستودنت كان في برايمر ولا كان في سيكوندري.
Shukran Jazilan Said. He is also suggesting why would Ministry of that's General Education come up with a school calendar after having a look at the weather projection. If they notice that in this month there will be either heat wave or heavy rain that will affect most of the learners or students, and then they are supposed to adjust their calendars also according to the climate changes or crisis. Thank you so much for asking all those good questions, and we are giving chance to one more lucky caller, then we call it a show. We have Wek Garang. Wek is also watching us live from Western Equatoria State, Yambio. Thank you. And another text message coming in from Green Nichi Conversational Institute that turning climate challenges into opportunities, from raising awareness to empowering communities, protecting biodiversity, managing waste, and promoting sustainable agriculture. We are driving change, but we can't do it alone. Thank you. And beside that, we have Lino Solink. He is sending his greeting to us in the studio. Thank you so much for taking up your time. Let's now have our first commercial break, and when we come back, I will be giving the chance to Dr. Andrew Atiba to respond to some of your questions and comment. Aracia, so far, so good.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from this morning?
I had taken Ladu for pneumonia vaccination at the health center to protect my child against pneumonia and meningitis. He was also vaccinated with other routine immunization vaccines at no cost. Is baby Alice already vaccinated?
Yes, she was vaccinated last month. Does she need to be vaccinated again?
Yes. She needs to be vaccinated with at least 3 doses at 6, 10, and 14 weeks to be fully vaccinated, immunized, and protected against pneumonia.
Really? I just heard from afar that there will be a vaccination campaign during the African Vaccination Week, but I was not keen enough to get the details.
You know, pneumonia vaccine is effective in preventing pneumonia and deaths in infants and young children. This vaccine has just been introduced this year, 2025. A lot of children were not vaccinated. Some even travel without being vaccinated. I wouldn't want to see any child get pneumonia.
I didn't know that pneumonia is very serious, that it can cause meningitis and even death.
Yes. Pneumonia is a life-threatening disease caused by bacteria or viruses. The signs are cough, fever, chills, and shortness of breath, which may be accompanied by chest pain when breathing or coughing. Children who survive may experience long-term effects on lung function and increased risk of respiratory conditions like asthma.
Asthma or lung function complication? Oh, that sounds scary. How can I protect my child from this dangerous disease?
The only way for your child to be safe is when your child and all children in your neighborhood are vaccinated with pneumonia vaccine.
I will do that immediately. Where can I take my child for this vaccine? Hope it is not late.
No, you are not late. Pneumonia vaccine and all the other routine vaccines are available at all government health centers in your areas. Tell your neighbors with children between 6 to 14 weeks to be vaccinated.
I'm glad you told me. I will take my child immediately to the nearest health center for pneumonia vaccination.
Bring your child to the nearest health center and protect them from pneumonia and other vaccine-preventable diseases. This message is brought to you by the National Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and South Sudan Women in Medicine.
The Sundown, for the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Welcome back from the commercial break, and we are focusing on that's climate resilience in a school, from tree planting and eco-friendly schools designed to urban planning and digital learning. To unpack this, I'm joined live in the studio by Dr. Andrew Atiba, head of the Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Juba. Earlier on, you have asked your questions, and it's time now for me to allow that Dr. Andrew to come in and respond to some of your questions. Let's first start with a comment raised by that Majong Sudan on the issue of that overcrowding in classrooms. What's your take? Welcome.
Well, generally, the schools are not supposed to have capacity of 250 to 100 to 250 classrooms. No, that is too much. The maximum classroom is supposed to be 25 to 30 only. You cannot go more than that, because the capacity of classroom is small. Even if it is big, even if it is big, then it is very difficult even to teach. The student will not understand the issue. So we reduce the class from 25 to 30. It will be very good. And somebody said, Lowell said, the heat wave. Yes, during the heat wave, because heat wave kills. This catastrophe of climate change. It kills people. It kills, in Europe, it kills a lot of people. But here, just because we are blacks, so we are resistant to heat. And there are no heat. But still, we need to keep students out of class. Because if there are too many in the class, and the class is hot, they will be affected. We don't want them to be exposed. Then, the heat also, people need to be given holidays. Students should be given holidays so that they go and rest, so that they are not exposed to heat. You know, some of these things can be planted, as we talked about planting trees, but now people are finishing our trees because of charcoal. People want money. Now the trees has gone about 30 kilometers from Juba City, which is very dangerous. So the government should come a plan to replant trees so that the reforestation, and it can reduce some of this heat and other things in the country. But if you don't do it, then the heat will continue to expand and it will affect people badly.
And Lual raised a concern that, for example, during the heat wave, the Ministry of that's General Education announced closures of all the schools, but you'll find that there are some other private schools that keep on, operating. Now, how can such issues be addressed during climate crisis?
The schools are supposed to be monitored by Ministry of Education. If there is anything like that, they're supposed to monitor which school is functioning, which school is not functioning. And if it is functioning, why? And this means they should be closed and they will not be given a chance to operate again. But it should not be left free. You just don't say that people go, but you don't monitor. That is the role of government, to monitor the schools, whether people are coming or people are not coming, whether people are following the regulations or people are not following the regulations. If they are following the regulations, well and good. But if they are not following, then there must be punishment for them. They should not be left free. Yeah.
Over to what Said said, school calendars. Others are suggesting South Sudan should go back to Sudan calendar, where schools start
in
first term, April. Yeah,
yes.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that is good, because during the April there is rainfall, and when there is rainfall, the weather is cool. There will be no heat. This is very good. But when we moved to East African system that we start throughout April, from February onwards. That's wrong. It's not good, because the school follows the system of rain season, and then it will be good. During the dry season, as from December onwards or January onwards, this is very hot. This will not be good for students to move to schools. But if during the rain season, they will be able to move. So when the weather is conducive, they can be able to move and they can be studied happily without any problem. So I think...
And the issue is, for example, Upper Nile State, during, let's say from April onward, most of the areas are flooded, and as such it will still also affect the functions of that school from operating. You see, don't you think there is a concern here?
But Upper Nile has been operating even during the previous days. The schools were operating and people are moving to schools. The floods were not constant. The floods will be 1 day or 2 days and then it goes. So it is not so much bad. They will continue to study and they even bring good results during the exams. Yeah.
And again, on another note also, South Sudan is a member of that East African community. And what do you think, like, we are a member of the EAC, again operating on different time zone, a different school calendar. What do you think here?
But we cannot follow somebody's calendar because of the climate. The climate has got negative impact on the people. If you continue to follow somebody's calendar and it is affecting your people, will you feel comfortable about it? If your people are dying from heat, will you feel comfortable about it? It's not good. So you must depend on your climate.
Well, that's Said. I think your question has been answered. Now, what can school communities, parents, teachers, and students do now to make their schools more climate resilient? Welcome.
Well, they need more awareness. They need more awareness about the climate. Because if they are not educated, if they are not made aware about this, it will be very difficult for them to understand. But if you open their eyes and they understand this, then they will benefit. And even the students will benefit and the country will benefit from this. Because education, as I said, is light. It opens the eyes of people to understand what is wrong and what is right. Yeah.
All right, dear listener, one more lucky chance for you to call us on that 0911022986 right here. If at all you have a question or comment to Dr. Andrew Athiba, head of that Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Juba, as we take a look at that from tree planting and eco-friendly schools designs to urban planning and digital learning right here. And thank you so much for those who have taken also their time to write via that's our Facebook page. We have Garang Mao, that my greetings to Dr. Andrew Athiba. Dictor is my lecturer of that environmental health and community medicines course. I miss his lectures. One of your student, for my student, writing back to you there. Thank you so much for taking your time, Garang, for to reach out. Then we have that. Thank you for bringing the critical issues of climate change to the forefront today. Climate change is a global threat, and its impact includes flooding, heat waves, drought, and disease outbreak are already being felt across South Sudan and the world. We urge the government and all the stakeholders to act now. Delaying action will only deepen the crisis. Coming in from that Greenwich Conventional Institute. What's your take on the message right there? But before that, let me answer our last caller. Hi, Radio.
Hi, Radio. How are you?
Tamam.
Let me welcome the doctor and give the great thanks. And you, the presenter of today.
Thank you.
Is me community advisor from Jongle State Board.
Welcome.
Doctor said something very critical and something very useful. But I don't know who will implement. If the government of South Sudan will go and plan all those trees with the people, or NGO will be going to plan those trees. If the NGO take over and go and plan those trees as a project, and the people of South Sudan will receive dollars, everybody will be going and plan more than 100 or more than trillion trees. And if we with our government, I don't think it will be functioning. Who will implement those things, Doctor? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. According to community advisor from Bor, you highlighted crucial points, and his question is, how practical will all those suggestions, be in place? Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Those things are practical and people can do it. Because you are protecting your life, and you are protecting your land, and you are protecting your current and future generation. This means you have to plant trees around your home, in some other areas, so that the climate may change. The climate is not stable. The climate is changing every time and then. But according to your situation, if you plant more trees, the climate will change. If you cut more trees, the climate will change. And this will be a very serious issue. So we need to bring more awareness to our people so that they can plant these trees. These trees, you can start to say that, let us plant this for fruits, and people will follow. Let us plant this for protection of our, like mahogany. Let us plant this to protect our place. They will do it. Acacia, this is to plant our trees. Others, it will be very good. But if we don't advise people, people will not do it. Because, people are the resource of country. They're the most important resource of country. And they must be protected. And they must be given a chance to do some good things for the benefit of them. The Sustainable Development, which was designed by the United Nations Commission in 1987, which says you produce something for current and also for future generation. This is very, very important. And it will be your legacy to your community, it will be your legacy to your country, it will be your legacy to the world. So let us not forget just to sit idle without doing anything. You must do something. Leave something for your generation, leave something for future generation.
What would you tell to people who are living in urban centers, and most of them are not living in their own plots, they are renting, and heat wave affects, everywhere?
Well, if you are renting somebody's land, you can plant mango trees in it to protect you. You can plant guava to help you. You can protect other things. Because you want to protect, you must have a good life, luxurious life. You must sit under the trees during the dry season. You must sit under the shade so that you'll feel comfortable with that problem. But if you don't plant, if you think that somebody will do it for you, then because you are moving away, it's very bad. But you must do it for your current use and also for future use. It's very important.
And what would be your recommendations to private schools who are also planning to, start some of these climate resilience programs?
The private schools must be advised to plant trees and do other things in the area. They must not just leave it like that. They must do it for the benefit of their schools, so that the future generation will also learn from them, and they will do better things for current, also for future generation.
All right. Finally, what's your message to policymakers and donors about investing in climate resilient education?
The policymakers should be aware so that they take care of some of this. They must make policies for the climate change. All over the world, people should put agenda of climate change number one in the world and number one in the country. Because people are dying. It is killing people. In Europe, in 2007, it killed about 300,000 people, the heat wave. So we must work hard to change this climate. We must not keep it in one state. We must make it. We must not continue to cut trees because we want to charcoal and we want to get money. We want to do other things. No, we must do sustainably. If you cut one tree, plant 5 in it to replace it, so that it can be okay without any problem. But if you cut and leave it like that, then that place will be dry, become desert. That is how desert were created in northern Sudan and other parts of your world. But if you plant one, use sustainable system. If you cut one, you plant 5. If you cut 2, plant 10, and so on. Then there will be change. It will not remain the same.
How about to donors now?
Yeah, the donors should give money to the local NGOs, to schools, so that the schools can implement this policy. And the government should make this as a policy so that people can. I think some time back, the president came up with the plan to plant about 10 million trees. But I don't know what happened. This plan died, but I think it can be reactivated so that we plant more trees in South Sudan. Thank you.
Dr. Andrew Athiba, head of the Department of Environmental Studies at the University of Juba, thank you so much for coming and sharing your insights with us. MC Patrick from that's Nairobi, thank you also so much for taking your time and reaching out to us. Garang Mo, that all right. May you mind if you'd allow my good lecturer to take us through about South Sudan seasonal June to August weather forecast 2025. We'd love to do that, but again, Garang, time is not on our side, but next time, inshallah. In a special way, Majong Sudan, I mean, thank you for you calling. We have Lual, thank you, Said, thank you, community advisor, and you who have taken your time to listen to this program. And we have been talking about that tree planting and eco-friendly schools designs to urban planning and digital learning. And I've been your host, Madrama James, and with that we have come to the end of our conversation this time.
إحنا كلنا جنوبيين سودانيين، ما مهم منو جاي من وين. إحنا محتاجين نحترم بعض وندعم بعض لأنه إحنا واحد. إحنا كلنا بشر كسودانيين جنوبيين بنستحق عشان نعيش بالسلام، نستحمل بعض ونصالح خلافاتنا ونعيش بالسلام. ده رسالة تسامح والتعايش السلمي بيجيك من اي راديو.